All right, so I made a bold statement yesterday that you cannot be a Christian if you go to church online, right? And I've got a lot of constructive criticism, but let me bring clarity to it, right? So if the purpose of the church was to spread the gospel to the whole world, then you can do that online. But that is not the purpose of the church. The purpose of the church is to go into the world and make disciples. You understand that? And so conversion is not the purpose of the church, but discipleship. And because the church for a long time has not focused on discipleship, we have conversions, but we don't have disciples. So we have weak, sinful crowd that fills our churches because discipleship is not active in even local churches. You understand that? And so the primary purpose, the assignment, the Great Commission is to go make disciples. Go make people that are being transformed. Do you see that? If that is the purpose of the church, it can be done online. You understand that? Now, the online space definitely can have a strong evangelism kind of ability, but to take the believer and kind of disciple the believer to be that which God expects. He's coming for a discipled people. That's what he calls the spotless church. Do you understand that? So to make it practical, what it means to be disciple is one, to understand that you are accountable to the shepherd God has placed over you. And number two, the shepherd is responsible to equip you so you can do the work of the ministry. To be a Christian is to be a doer of the work of the ministry. You understand that? I have a whole presentation on what it means to have a church. Do you understand that? So if you have a church and you have about 500 people and only 30 are doing the work, the 470, they are not doing the work of the ministry, which is not biblical to be a Christian and do nothing. You understand? Giving and paying your tithe is not part of doing the work of the ministry, because that one everybody must do it. You understand that? So the truth of the matter is that until we understand that the purpose of the ministry to grow God's people, we will just make babies. Do you understand? God didn't call us to just make babies. He wants us to disciple them. Do you see that? None of you will accept a husband or a wife online, because you understand that the work of a husband cannot be done online. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So you cannot, if you understand the work of the church, it can be done online. The online space is great for evangelism, but if we keep it like that, we are not going anywhere with spiritual maturity, because accountability and coming under shepherding is required to be in the faith. You understand that? So adding numbers to the body of Christ is like giving birth, and it is counterproductive to the kingdom if people are not saved. And by the way, to be saved doesn't mean you are accepted Christ. To be saved means you have been justified, you are being sanctified, and you'll be glorified. It doesn't end when you give your life to Christ. If anything, it's only 30% of being saved. You got to be sanctified so you can be glorified, and that is where the real work happens. And so you can't do that by just adding number. The church is weak because we have not been discipled, and that is where the problem is. So if you don't understand the assignment of the Great Commission and you think it's just to spread the gospel and just spread it wherever you spread it, that is irresponsible. That is not kingdom. That is not church. So we have to understand the purpose of the church is to equip the saints for the work of the ministry. If you are in a church locally and you're also not doing anything, you are also not a Christian. Christians do things once they come to Christ, and in doing the things is where God begins to mold you and transform you to become his image. To be a Christian means that you have been placed on a spiritual journey to look like Christ. I have not gotten a chance to talk about all of this publicly, but if I start talking, like a lot of things we do as church is unfortunately useless when it comes to the purpose of the church. You understand that concerts and all of these exciting things have its place, but they are useless when it comes to transforming God's people to do the work and to look like Christ. You understand that? That is the primary purpose of the church. You see what I'm trying to say? So, I don't know if anybody heard what I'm saying before, but what is out there is not the purpose of the church. The purpose of the church is not to organize breakthrough for people. It's not to organize what we are doing. If it's not moving the needle closer to looking like Christ, that's not the purpose of the church. All of that comes in because we are dealing with people. But we got to remember the purpose of the church is to turn an alcoholic to look like Jesus. The purpose of the church to turn a prostitute to look like Jesus. Today, as I'm speaking, you can have people